Hello everyone! For those of you who are interested in knowing more about voodoo magic in Risen 2, in this video I will show you how to become a voodoo magician, what are the abilities, and what do they do. First of all, to learn voodoo magic you need to visit the Shaganumbi tribe on the Sword Coast. You can ask Steelbeard to escort you there the first time you arrive on the Sword Coast. Chani, the daughter of the chieftain, will be the one to teach you, but first you must prove yourself a friend of the Shaganumbi. She will give you a quest to find Tahana, a hunter who got captured by the Inquisition and is being held prisoner in a tower. Speak with Ranapiri, he will escort you to the tower and help you kill any monsters on your way there. You can rely on Ranapiri to do most of the fighting, and even if he goes down, he will get back up after some time. The path leading up to the tower will be guarded by Taurus. After you free Tahana from the tower, Taurus will attack you, but he won't be very tough. Go past him and follow the road uphill until you reach the tower. Find the door key next to the palisade and open the door to free Tahana. Taurus will show up and you'll have to defeat him, but don't worry, he won't die, so you can still complete his quest if you choose to. On your way back to the village, Tahana will tell you that he must find an idol for the Kikis and he will ask you to look for it. The idol is very close to where he stops, just behind the tree. Now finish escorting Tahana back to the village and speak with Chani. She will now trust you and show you the last steps to learning voodoo. Please note that once you learn voodoo, you can't join the Inquisition anymore, and therefore you won't have access to muskets. Now, accept Chani's offer to learn voodoo and make your way to the temple behind the village. Here you will be tested by Samir, who will ask you 3 questions and then fight you. For the questions, tell him that you're a cursed pirate working under Steelbeard and you're here to summon the spirit of Izakil. After you defeat him, enter the main chamber, talk to Ezekiel, and then with Chani, who will now teach you voodoo. Very well, now let's talk about what you can do with voodoo magic. There are 3 main aspects to voodoo magic: black magic, death cult, and ritual. We will go over all of them and discuss how they are useful. First of all, black magic is the most important. Not only that it will determine your ability to crowd control enemies with the use of 2 scepters, the Scepter of Power and the Scepter of Fear, but it will also determine the potency of your curses with the use of Cursedolls. The Scepter of Power allows you to make 2 enemies fight each other. The more black magic skill you have, the more dangerous the enemies you can use these scepters on. While using the Scepter of Power, time will freeze and allow you to select a target for the enemy you cast it on. Do note that all of these scepters have a casting animation before they come into effect. During this time, you are vulnerable to attacks, so make sure you put enough distance between you and the enemies or have a companion distract them for you. The most important thing to know is that if one enemy kills the other, you won't get any glory, so you must make sure that you get the killing blows yourself to not miss out on glory. After you use a scepter, there will be a cooldown period before you can use it again, as you can see in the lower right corner. The Scepter of Fear works in the same way. It will cast a fear effect on the enemy, which will cause them to run away from you as you approach them. Damaging them will cause the fear effect to be dispelled. However, the more black magic you have, the more damage you can inflict before the fear effect gets dispelled and the enemy will start attacking you. You can technically cast fear on multiple enemies if you wait for the cooldown period, but realistically speaking, fights are too short for this to happen. The fear effect is similar to the distracted effect from using the parrot dirty trick. However, the distracted effect will always be dispelled after attacking the enemy just once. Combining these 2 scepters will allow you to crowd control 3 enemies at a time, which can easily turn the tide of any battle. Do note that some of the tougher enemies are immune to either the Scepter of Power or Fear or both, so you can't always rely on them. Now, the best part about black magic are Cursedolls. The Cursedolls will debuff an enemy, reducing the damage it deals and increasing the damage it takes. When fully maxed out, this skill will allow you to render your enemies completely useless, including bosses and the final boss of the game. In fact, with the maxed out Cursedoll, you can one-shot all the enemies in the game while taking no damage from them. This is without a doubt the strongest ability in Risen 2 and the main reason to learn Voodoo magic. The way you obtain these two scepters and Cursedolls is by buying the blueprints from many of the Voodoo traders in the game, such as Capua in the Shaganumbi village. These blueprints will require materials which can be obtained from defeated enemies throughout the world. However, this requires you to have certain tools in your inventory, such as the sacrificial knife. When you visit traders, always make sure to keep an eye out for these tools. You only need one of each tool, so if you have duplicates, you can sell them. When shopping, you can always tell if you have a tool in your inventory by looking at this counter. If it's above 0, then you already have it. If you have the materials and the blueprints, then all you have to do is visit a Voodoo altar and craft them. A tip I can give you for making gold is to craft expensive items after learning the Create Talisman skill from a Voodoo trainer and sell them for profit. The gold you can make by selling these items will far outweigh the gold you could have made by selling the materials themselves. Please note that for Cursedolls you have to buy Voodoo dolls from the Voodoo traders because you can't make these yourself. The next aspect of Voodoo is Death Cult. This will allow you to summon a companion to fight for you. The higher your Death Cult skill, the more powerful the companion will be. To summon this companion, you need the Skull Scepter, which can be obtained as part of the main quest on the Island of the Dead, as long as you know Voodoo magic. So those who have sided with the Inquisition can't obtain this scepter. Because some of you might care about spoilers, I won't tell you who this companion is, but just know that at 100 Death Cult skill, it will be just as powerful as Patty in combat. So using this, you can have two companions by your side. Do note that the Island of the Dead is a very difficult place to beat, so I don't recommend rushing there if you're not prepared. You will obtain the scepter after you have finished the main story on this island. The final aspect of Voodoo is Ritual, which increases the power of potions. The higher your skill in Ritual, the more powerful the potions you can drink. Do note that Voodoo Potions only affect your stats, either temporarily and some of them permanently, but there are no healing potions here. If you want healing potions, they are the booze you find throughout the game, such as grog, rum, or Bloody Mary. Booze can be made by learning the appropriate skill with at least 6 points into endurance on the second floor of the tavern in Tacarigua. So Voodoo Potions are only for stat boosting. It's very important to know that Ritual can go beyond 100 in skill and will further benefit you. It's important to consume a Ritual potion before any other potion to further boost the effects of the other potions if you need to. What sucks about them is that the duration is limited to 30 seconds or lower and can't be increased. That means you should only use them right before you need them. You can buy the recipes for these potions from the Voodoo traders throughout the world, both for the normal ones and the permanent ones. However, if you spend a lot of time exploring, you'll also find a ton of these potions, so you won't really need to brew any yourself. But even if you don't want to brew them, having a higher Ritual skill will still help boost their effectiveness. You can find a potion trainer in Caldera at the second floor of the inn. His name is De Silva. And last of all, the coolest part about Voodoo magic is that it can offer you an alternative way to finish quests. Sometimes you can craft voodoo dolls which can be used to take possession of certain NPCs. These are predetermined NPCs, so you can't take control of anybody you want. So just think of it as simply an alternative way to solve quests. This will often lead to some very funny moments, and for this alone, Voodoo is worth checking out. All in all, while it may not be as straightforwardly powerful as joining the Inquisition and obtaining a musket, Voodoo offers a ton of versatility and is by far the more interesting of the two. So whether you want to bend enemies to your will in combat with the use of Cursedolls, or take control of your worst enemies with Voodoo dolls and scepters, being a bloody Voodoo magician is all about style. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you find it useful and have a great day.